The ballroom of the Plaza Hotel shimmered like the inside of a jewelry box. Crystal chandeliers threw fractured rainbows across marble floors, while Manhattan's elite circulated in designer gowns and bespoke tuxedos, their combined net worth enough to fund a small nation. This wasn't just any charity auction. This was the Valentine's Day event, where billionaires competed to outspend each other for both philanthropy and prestige. Naledi Okonkwo stood near the back, feeling like an imposter in her borrowed Valentino gown. At 26, she was here representing her employer, Sinclair Fine Jewelry, tasked with photographing their donated pieces for the company's social media. Her press credentials hung around her neck like a shield, reminding everyone she was staff, not guest. She adjusted her camera, capturing the glittering crowd. Through her lens, she noticed him. Kim Tae-yong stood in the center of the room like gravity had shifted to accommodate him. 6'2", devastating in a midnight blue Tom Ford tuxedo that probably cost more than her annual salary, with sharp cheekbones that could cut glass and eyes so dark they looked black from a distance. At 34, he was Korea's youngest luxury conglomerate heir: hotels, fashion houses, airlines, and most importantly, the world's largest private gem collection. Naledi had researched him obsessively for this assignment. Kim Tae-yong was known for three things: his Midas touch in business, his legendary gem acquisitions, and his complete lack of interest in relationships. In 15 years of public life, he'd never been photographed with the same woman twice. The media called him the Ice Prince. Wall Street called him a genius. Women called him heartbreakingly unattainable. He was examining a diamond necklace on display, the Tears of Mumbai, a 19-carat masterpiece that Sinclair's had loaned for the auction. Naledi zoomed in, capturing his expression. His face showed nothing, but something about the intensity of his gaze made her breath catch. He looked at that necklace like he wanted to devour it. Magnificent, isn't it? A voice beside her made Naledi jump. The auction coordinator, a rail-thin woman named Petra, had appeared at her elbow. That's the highlight of the evening. Starting bid is $2 million. Who authenticated it? The question came from Taeyong himself. He'd moved closer without Naledi noticing, his voice a deep baritone with the barest trace of a Korean accent. Sinclair Fine Jewelry, Petra replied smoothly. Their chief gemologist certified it last month. And where is this gemologist? Taeyong's eyes swept the room, passing over Naledi without pausing. I have questions about the clarity grading. Petra's smile tightened. I'm afraid Dr. Sinclair couldn't attend. He sent a representative. She gestured vaguely toward Naledi, clearly hoping Taeyong wouldn't pursue it. But those dark eyes locked onto Naledi with the force of a spotlight. You're from Sinclair's? Naledi's throat went dry. Up close, he was almost unbearably beautiful. Sharp jaw, full lips, skin like warm honey. But his eyes were cold, assessing her like she was a balance sheet. I'm just the photographer, she managed. But I can connect you with Dr. Sinclair if you have technical questions. The photographer. Taeyong stepped closer, and Naledi caught his scent, something expensive and woody with notes of bergamot. Then perhaps you can explain why you've been photographing me for the last 10 minutes instead of the jewelry. Heat flooded Naledi's face. She glanced at her camera's display. He was right. Half her shots featured him, his hands, his profile, the way light caught the platinum cufflinks at his wrists. The human interest angle, she stammered. Our social media strategy includes capturing potential buyers engaging with the pieces. One dark eyebrow rose. Is that the approved corporate explanation, or are you simply bad at your job? The insult landed like a slap. Naledi's embarrassment crystallized into anger. I'm excellent at my job, Mr. Kim. Perhaps you're just not used to being documented without your PR team's permission. Silence fell around them. Petra made a small, horrified sound. Several nearby guests turned to stare. Nobody spoke to Kim Taeyong that way, certainly not a nobody photographer in a borrowed dress. But Taeyong's expression shifted. Something flickered in those cold eyes. Surprise, maybe, or the first spark of interest. You have a sharp tongue, he said quietly. I wonder if you're as sharp with gemstones. Before Naledi could respond, he plucked a champagne flute from a passing waiter and handed it to her. The gesture was smooth, practiced, but something about it felt oddly intimate. Prove you're not just a photographer, he challenged. Tell me what's wrong with that necklace. Naledi's heart hammered. This was a test, and failing it would humiliate her in front of hundreds of people. But she'd spent 3 years working at Sinclair's, learning everything Dr. Sinclair would teach her. She might only be the social media coordinator, but she'd absorbed knowledge like a sponge. She set down her camera and approached the display case. The tears of Mumbai lay against black velvet, a cascading waterfall of diamonds that caught every photon of light. Objectively, it was flawless. Except it wasn't. Naledi leaned in, studying the center stone. The main diamond is listed as internally flawless, but there's a feather inclusion near the girdle. It's tiny. You'd need 30x magnification to see it clearly. But it's there, which means this should be graded VVS1, not if. She straightened, meeting Taeyong's gaze. The necklace is still worth millions. But someone inflated the grading to inflate the price. Either Sinclair's made a mistake, or someone switched the stones after certification. The silence now was absolute. Petra's face had gone white. Taeyong stared at Naledi like she'd just performed a magic trick. Then he smiled. It transformed his entire face, melting the ice into something warm and devastating and dangerous. "You have a good eye," he said softly. "What's your name?" "Naledi Okonkwo." "Naledi." He tested it, the syllables rolling off his tongue like a caress. "It means star in Setswana, doesn't it?" She blinked, shocked he knew. "Yes. My parents are from Botswana." "Appropriate." Taeyong's eyes held hers. "You shine quite brightly, Miss Okonkwo. Tell me, how much does Sinclair's pay you to photograph jewelry?" "I don't think that's." "Double it. Triple it. Come work for me." He pulled out a business card, pressing it into her hand. His fingers brushed hers, and electricity shot up her arm. "I need someone who can spot a fake. Someone honest enough to speak truth to power. You've demonstrated both in the last 5 minutes." Naledi stared at the card. Kim Taeyong, CEO, Sunstone Luxury Group. His private number was handwritten on the back. "I can't just quit my job," she said. "Why not? You clearly have talents they're wasting." He leaned in, his voice dropping to something intimate and commanding. "I collect beautiful things, Naledi. Rare gems. Priceless art. Things that take my breath away. Right now, you're the most interesting thing in this room." It should have sounded like a line. Instead, it sounded like a threat and a promise all at once. Before she could respond, the auction began. Taeyong excused himself with a slight bow, but his eyes promised their conversation wasn't finished. Naledi stood there, holding his card, her hand still tingling from his touch. Around her, the auction progressed, a Cartier bracelet going for 800,000, a Bulgari ring for 1.2 million. But when the tears of Mumbai came up, Taeyong bid 5 million without hesitation. No one challenged him. The necklace was his in seconds. As the auctioneer's gavel fell, Taeyong looked directly at Naledi across the crowded room and smiled. That smile said he always got what he wanted. And Naledi had the terrifying feeling he wanted her. The morning after the auction, Naledi arrived at Sinclair Fine Jewelry expecting to be fired. Instead, she found Dr. Sinclair waiting in her office, his face grim. "You embarrassed us last night," he said without preamble. "Kim Taeyong called me at 7 a.m. demanding to know why we'd misgraded the Mumbai piece. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Naledi's stomach dropped. "I was right, though. The inclusion was there. That's not the point." Dr. Sinclair's weathered face flushed. "The point is you contradicted our official certification in front of our biggest clients. Kim could sue us. He could destroy our reputation with a single tweet. Then maybe we shouldn't have lied about the grading." Naledi shot back. The slap of truth hung between them. Dr. Sinclair looked away first. It wasn't a lie. It was an optimistic interpretation. He sighed heavily. The client who consigned the piece was desperate. Terminal cancer. She needed the money for treatment. I thought if we could get her a higher price. You thought you could bend the truth for a good cause. Naledi's anger softened slightly. "Dr. Sinclair, I understand the impulse. But lying about a stone's quality isn't kindness. It's fraud. I know." He looked suddenly old, tired. "Which is why I'm accepting Kim Taeyong's offer." Naledi's blood ran cold. "What offer?" "He's buying Sinclair Fine Jewelry. The whole company." He called it acquiring the asset before the scandal breaks. Dr. Sinclair's laugh was bitter. "He's offering enough to cover my retirement and pay our staff severance. All he wants in return is exclusive rights to our client list, our inventory," and he paused. "One specific staff member's contract." "No." Naledi stood abruptly. "Absolutely not. I'm not property to be traded. He's offering you a position as his personal gemologist. Starting salary is 400,000 a year, Nality. That's 10 times what I pay you. The number hit like a physical blow. For 100,000. That was medical bills for her mother's diabetes. Student loans erased. A real apartment instead of her shoebox studio in Queens. I don't care, she lied. I'm not going to work for a man who buys people. Then you'll be unemployed by Friday. Because without Kim's buyout, I'm declaring bankruptcy. Dr. Sinclair's voice gentled. Take the job, Nality. You're too talented to go down with my ship. And between you and me, Kim Taeyong doesn't make offers like this. He sees something in you. Use it. 2 days later, Nality stood outside the Sunstone building in Midtown Manhattan, staring up at 70 floors of steel and glass that housed the Kim empire. Her hands shook as she clutched her portfolio. The elevator ride to the penthouse level felt like ascending to heaven or hell. She wasn't sure which. When the doors opened, a sleek assistant in Dior greeted her with a professional smile. Miss Okonkwo, Mr. Kim is expecting you in the gallery. The gallery turned out to be a private museum spanning the entire 70th floor. Display cases lined the walls, each containing gemstones that made Nality's breath catch. A 30-carat Burmese ruby, the largest emerald she'd ever seen outside of a museum. A perfectly clear diamond the size of her fist. And in the center of it all, Taeyong stood examining a sapphire under a jeweler's loupe, backlit by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. He didn't look up when she entered. Tell me what you see. Nality approached slowly. The sapphire was cushion-cut, deep blue with a hint of violet. Cashmere origin, probably. 18 carats minimum. No heat treatment based on the silk inclusions. Value maybe 3 million. 3.8 at auction. Now he looked up, and his smile was pure satisfaction. You lowballed it. What? Because sapphires are typically heated to enhance color. An unheated cashmere stone this size is almost impossible to find. The estimate seemed too good to be true. Good instinct. Trust it. He set down the loupe and moved closer. Today he wore a black turtleneck and tailored trousers, looking more like an artist than a billionaire. I need someone who questions everything, who doesn't simply accept provenance documents at face value. The gem trade is full of liars, Nality. I need a truth teller. Why me? The question burst out. You could hire anyone. Cambridge-trained gemologists, GI fellows, people with actual credentials instead of a girl who learned from YouTube videos and an old man's kindness. Taeyong's expression shifted, something darker, more intense. Because credentials can be faked. Degrees can be bought. But what you did at that auction, spotting the flaw, speaking up despite the consequences, that's character. That's what I need. He circled her slowly, and Nality fought the urge to turn and track his movement. She felt like prey being assessed by a predator. Also, he continued, you're hungry. Not literally. Though I did notice you skipped the canapes at the auction, probably couldn't afford to take time away from working. He stopped in front of her. You're hungry for knowledge. For opportunity. For a chance to prove you're more than a photographer with a good eye. I can give you that chance. But it comes with conditions. What conditions? Total discretion. What you see here, what you learn, who my clients are, it never leaves this building. You'll sign an NDA so comprehensive it would make the CIA jealous. His eyes bored into hers. You'll travel when I travel. Attend viewings, estate sales, private showings. Sometimes in Dubai. Sometimes in Hong Kong. Sometimes in places that don't exist on any official itinerary. A chill ran down Nality's spine. You're talking about black market stones. I'm talking about acquisitions that require finesse and absolute trust. He didn't deny it. Wealthy people die, Nality. Their collections get hidden, disputed, stolen, smuggled. Sometimes the rightful owners are governments that would lock the gems away forever. Sometimes they're families who'd rather have cash than legacy. My job is to preserve these pieces for history and profit from doing so. That's not preservation. That's robbery with better PR. Taeyong laughed, a rich sound that made something low in Nality's stomach tighten. I like your honesty. It's refreshing. So let me be honest too. I want you because you're talented, yes. But also because you're an outsider. You have no connections to the old money families who dominate this world. You owe nothing to the European auction houses or Asian conglomerates. You're a blank slate I can train my way. You mean control your way. If you want to frame it negatively, yes. He stepped closer, invading her personal space. But control goes both ways, Nality. You'll have access to pieces most people only see in textbooks. You'll learn from the best authenticators money can buy. You'll become the expert you're desperate to be. In exchange, I get your loyalty, your discretion, and your brilliant eye. He was close enough now that she could see the faint scar on his left eyebrow, the way his pulse beat in his throat. Close enough that she could smell that intoxicating scent of bergamot and something darker, more dangerous. What if I say no? She whispered. Then you walk away with a severance package from Sinclair's and my blessing to find work elsewhere. His hand came up, fingers barely grazing her cheek. The touch was feather-light but sent electricity through her entire body. But we both know you won't say no. Because you're too curious, too hungry, and because you feel it too. Feel what? This. His thumb brushed her lower lip. The pull. I felt it the moment I saw you at that auction, hiding in the back like you didn't belong. Except you did belong. You were the only real thing in a room full of fakes. And I collect real things, nality. Rare, precious, real things. She should step back. Should slap his hand away. Should tell him he couldn't just buy people or touch them without permission. Instead, she heard herself say, 400,000 isn't enough. Taeyong's eyes flashed with something like triumph. Name your price. 500,000. Plus housing. I'm not commuting from Queens at your schedule. Plus continuing education. I want to study with the masters in Antwerp and Bangkok. Plus 1 day off per week, non-negotiable, where I'm completely off the grid. And she met his gaze steadily. You don't touch me again without explicit permission. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then slowly, deliberately, he stepped back and extended his hand for a professional handshake. Deal. My lawyer will have the contract ready by tomorrow. His smile was sharp as cut glass. Welcome to Sunstone, Miss Okonkwo. I have a feeling you're going to be my most valuable acquisition yet. As Nality shook his hand, she felt like she'd just made a deal with the devil. But the devil had exquisite taste in jewelry.